Hello and welcome back to the Guideline GDPR compliance journey. This time we're talking about consent, and I thought we would jump straight in to the guideline software and take a look at the actions we had around consent. So, as we can see, we had a number of actions to complete on consent. So we had to implement a process to withdraw consent, create a report that details where, when and why consent was obtained, tell the data subject about any related contracts, explain to data subjects the consequences of consent, and make sure it's in clear and plain language. And just a little lower, make each request explicit and separate. So the actions highlighted by the guideline software there really break down into 4 areas. Firstly, we need to make sure that when we ask for information and request consent, that it's very clear and that it's explicit. Secondly, we need to be able to report on consent. Now, the information that we collect goes into our CRM system, and the time of submission and the fact that the opt-in box has been clicked is recorded, and we're able to run that as a report. I'm not going to show that in this video because clearly there is personal information in that repository and I don't want to expose any of that. Thirdly, we need to provide information when we're asking for consent. We'll come on to that in the next video when we talk about our privacy notice. And finally, we need to give the ability for data subjects to withdraw their consent. And again, we'll come on to that in a future video when we talk about subject access requests and the process that we've put around that. But for now, let's take a look at how we've modified our online presence and our forms and the way that we collect data to make them more clear and more explicit. So firstly, let's look at our contact form. On the left-hand side of the screen, you can see our old form, which just collected some basic information. So we were happy with that from a data minimization perspective, but perhaps it could have been clearer in asking for consent. So you'll see we've added an agreement checkbox at the bottom of this form so that people asking for information can specifically agree that we will use their information to respond to them. We have a document assessment form on our website which enables customers to see if they have the right level of GDPR documentation. And again, the old form just had some basic information to be able to send an email to somebody. What we've done now on the new form is to update it to explain what we're going to do with the information. So we're going to send them their results, and we'll also tell them about free resources at Guideline. And we've also provided a link to our privacy statement. And once again, we have an agreement checkbox so that users can specifically indicate that they are happy for us to use the information in the way that we've described. Our unsubscribe form is very limited, but again, we thought it was best practice to include a link to the privacy statement and to tell those users what we're going to do with the information that we have. So we're going to keep a copy of the email to make sure we don't send anything in future, but also any other information such as their name or address that we may have had, we will be deleting that in line with the retention policy that we have. We have a free templates form, and this had no information on it, so we've updated that to give the reasons that we're collecting the information and what we're going to use it for. And again, you'll see we have the specific opt-in box to get somebody's agreement. But being very open and honest, it's not always easy to be completely compliant with the GDPR, because whilst we might be making our best efforts, it's sometimes difficult to get all of our software and our suppliers in line. So really just wanted to highlight this because we know many of our customers are having similar issues in achieving full compliance. So we have a chat form, and it's not possible on that chat widget for us to put any specific consent information or to explain what we're going to do with that information. So as part of our work on consent, we are thinking about how we provide information to the user, how we respond to the user if they start a chat, to make sure that they understand very clearly and very specifically what we're using the information for, and where it might go and how we might use and retain it after that chat session has ended. So not always straightforward on consent, but we think with the changes we've made on the forms and with the updated privacy notice that we'll be telling you about next week or next time, and the updated subject access request process, that we will have answered all the areas we need to do to become compliant with the consent requirements under the GDPR. So that's it for this time. Hope you found that useful, and until next time, we hope you find your compliance simple.